Hi there. My name is Andrew Watts, and my goal is to write a complete novel in only 30 days. What the hell am I doing? Hello there, citizens. Welcome to day 10. My name is Andrew Watts. Yet again, another day of non writing. I'm still hovering at 7,929 words, which is, as you know, frustrating. So tonight it's Friday, and I'm going to actually read another passage from my book, and it's rather appropriate for Friday night. It's a somewhat, it's a more salacious bit of writing, so if you have some issues with that, or any small children in the room, or any children whatsoever, you might want to shuttle them out the door if you want to watch this. And if you're offended by prurient writing, you might want to sign off right now. And this is actually a sort of an intense rape scene. So here we go. Griffith pulled back the outstretched drink and smiled, almost ruefully, Rachel thought. He leaned down and put the drinks on the coffee table, and when he straightened back up, he slapped her across the face with the back of his hand. It was so hard it knocked her to the floor and split her lip. She was dazed and bleeding, and the next thing she knew, Griffith was on top of her, between her legs, shoving her knees apart and pushing her dress up around her waist. Rachel tried to fight her dress back down, but Griffith was too strong for her. He held the hem up over her waist with one hand while he pulled down her underwear with the other. Rachel kicked and screamed and swung at him, but it seemed to have no effect. Or more precisely, the effect was one of pleasure. As he pulled down her panties, he held his head up and turned his cheek toward her as if he wanted her to hit him. She obliged him, of course, but her blows didn't deter him. This was part of it. This was his rape fantasy. Still, Rachel swung her fists at him and tried to crawl backwards on the rug, even after he fell on top of her and pinned her arms to the floor and shoved his face into her neck. He began to kiss and bite, painfully working his way up her throat and to her cheek and to her split lip. He kissed her violently, and her blood smeared all over his face. The feeling of the blood on his face and the effect of his violence seemed to heighten his passion. He sat up on top of her and ripped off his shirt. Then he unbuckled his belt and unzipped his pants. His weight and his powerful legs kept Rachel pinned beneath him as he pulled his pants down around his thighs. His erection popped out of his underwear, and Rachel renewed her fight to try and free herself. But she couldn't. She just couldn't get away, and she thought of the Women's Defense Course again and tried to remember any shred of information that might help her in this moment. Use something, anything, to defend yourself, she recalled them saying. She looked around wildly, just as she felt his painful penetration. But she could find nothing to use as a weapon, nothing that she could reach anyway, and she couldn't get away from him. He was far too strong. She screamed as he forced his way inside of her. It hurt terribly, his dry, thick cock pounding away, rubbing raw against her flesh. She tried hitting him again, but she had no strength now, her blows feeble and useless against his violent passion. Griffith was so powerful and so intent on fucking her that Rachel suddenly gave up. She knew she couldn't get away, and her struggles only seemed to heighten his pleasure, so she stopped fighting him. She lay back and took it. She let him fuck her and tried to will her mind away. As she lay there on the living room rug with him humping on top of her like some feral animal, she retreated into herself, into some part of her, a hidden place that he couldn't reach, that felt like her, that was hers. She painted. Chalk lines, a face, oval, narrow, almond eyes, button nose, black, swollen, cut. Titanium white, all white. No, not white. Flesh tint with ultramarine in the almond mixed with titanium white. Number 12 sable dipped in black. Black dots in blue and white. Blue and black. Black and blue. He sped up, and Rachel painted furiously. Cadmium red mixed with black and burnt sienna, spattered and smashed. Cadmium yellow and white, drip, drip, and splash. Grab the palette knife, scrape, pull, smash, stab, stab, stabbing. Griffith collapsed on top of Rachel, his whole weight pressing her into the floor. He was panting heavily as he lay on her, and Rachel held her breath, waiting for him to get off, but he didn't. He lay there for some time, his breathing getting slower and slower until Rachel thought he had fallen asleep. And then abruptly he rolled off of her and onto his back. He laughed. "You stopped breathing, honey. You have to breathe, you know."